Whatever you're doing, I need you to stop, like right now. Why? Because I said so. All jokes aside, if you guys haven't watched the new Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, I am going to need you to lock in because this is probably the best Star Wars content you are going to consume this year. Yes, I know The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out this year, and I am 1000% excited to see it, but Shadow Lord just hit different for me. If there's one thing that I like, it's when universes tell stories from different points of view, like The Penguin, Star Wars Jedi series, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and many other properties. With Maul Shadow Lord, it doesn't just tell a story from Maul's point of view, but it tells a great story from Maul's point of view. There's a difference. Walk with me, chat. Walk with me. Of course, we all know that Maul's story is a revenge story, just like we all know Goku's story is becoming the greatest martial artist in the entire universe. When it comes to adapting stories, representation matters. For example, Maul's story within Maul Shadow Lord is perfectly represented so far, while Goku's story in Dragon Ball Evolution was the equivalent of 2 cans of shark.
Watch your profanity.
Alright, I'm going to try to keep this video serious. Jump scare. Season 1 of Maul Shadow Lord just had a really great blend of characters, stories, and fights. Not to mention the art style is amazing. If there's one thing that I like about animation, other than character designs, it's the art style. Beautiful, beautiful art style within this show. That was the first thing that caught my eye on episode 1. When I seen the city that it took place in, I was like, okay, let me sit up because this is already looking like it's going to be peak. So I really had to lock in once I seen the art style. But the one thing that I liked about this show is that not only was I interested in the character Maul himself, but the other characters around him. Having a good supporting cast is what makes shows and movies great, and I can tell you each character within this show kept me wondering what's next for them and not what's next for Maul. It really just kept you on your toes because you'll wonder about Maul, you'll wonder about Lawson, then you'll think about Devin, then you think about Daki. I think that season 1 did a great job of merging every character's story or situation into Maul's story. It was really easy to follow, and the story wasn't all over the place. You know, when shows have a certain amount of characters or a lot of characters, they go all over the place. The pacing is just off, and you know, a lot of people just can't keep up. But with this, everything literally all stemmed back to Maul, and that's what I really liked about this show. It was easy to follow. Supporting characters had good backstories. They also had good stories that were leading up to the main point in season 1. I just loved everything about it. I think that was one of the strongest areas in this season. Earlier, I mentioned that the art style was amazing. Now, guys, remember what I said. I said there's character designs is one thing, and then art styles is another. The character designs, I mean, they were just chef's kiss good, bro. I honestly think the Mandalorians could have got a little bit more, you know, shadazzle, if you know what that means, you know, shadazzle, pizzazz, just a little bit more. But other than that, I love the character designs, especially the Inquisitor's design. The Inquisitor's design stuck out to me the most. Now, that design matched everything about the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor was menacing, he had a dark aura, and the moment that the Inquisitor showed up in this show, I knew somebody was going to get rolled up in some rolling paper and smoked like a spliff. Like, not spoiling, I just knew somebody was going to die. The Inquisitor's armor was giving Dark Souls 3 box art. Like, look, it's actually insane how close it looks to the character that's on the box art. But look, I can talk about character designs all day because that's just my thing, but I really have to get into the nitty gritty, which is the fights. Now, I am a casual when it comes to Star Wars, so other than movies 1 through 6, Clone Wars, and The Mandalorian, I have not consumed much Star Wars content outside of the games, which was the Jedi series, and of course Battlefront 1 and 2. But what I'm trying to say is that the show has some of the best choreography I've seen since Anakin versus Obi-Wan. And that's saying a lot because Anakin versus Obi-Wan was peak fiction. You guys can't lie about that. I expected the saber battles within this show to be, you know, somewhat decent, but the show literally exceeded my expectations. And that's what happens when you set your expectations to a moderate or low standard. Things exceed those standards. I can tell you guys that the animators 100% put their hearts and souls into these fight scenes, and I have to tip my hat off. I really do. Like, these animators really deserve a raise. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the later seasons. Like, these fights are just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier, bro. But there was just a scene where 4 sabers collided at one time. It was crazy, bro. Like, that literally blew my mind. If some of you seen the show, you guys know exactly what scene I'm talking about. But before I get my final verdict, I want to talk about Maul as a character in this show so far. I feel like his character was written very well within this show, to the point where when the show revisits his backstory, I really start to sympathize with this guy. Like, I almost forgot he tried to run over Kid Anakin.
I know you guys didn't forget that.
But then there was areas of the story where I was like, oh yeah, damn you, Maul, you're an ass. Typical. Shout out to the writers for putting me through this emotional roller coaster. Again, you deserve a raise. But I feel as if I covered enough of season 1 without spoiling. So what I rate this season is probably the question that you're asking. And I'm going to give you an answer. My answer is a 10 out of 10. It is very, very, very rare that I give anything a 10 out of 10. The last piece of media, TV show and movie wise that I gave a 10 out of 10 was Penguin. So for this to be a 10 out of 10, this literally had to cover all grounds perfect. And in my opinion, season 1 covered all those grounds perfectly. And I mean perfectly. This season was all gas, no brakes. This season was crazy. And I hope and pray that season 2 isn't a huge step down from season 1. That's what I hope. If you ask me, this was the perfect way to kick off the show. And again, I hope and I pray that the writers do not take their foot off the gas. Now, I want to know you guys' thoughts and opinions on Maul Shadow Lord in the comments section down below. You guys give me your ratings. I'm very curious to see what everybody has to say. Like I said, this is very rare where I give something a 10 out of 10. So for it to be a 10 out of 10, it really had to be really, really good. So I'm gonna stop talking. I feel like I talked enough. Let me know what you think about the show in the comment section down below. And for all my returning subscribers, my returning viewers, you guys already know what I'm about to say. It's your boy Asfumus, and I'll see you on the next one.